What you are about to hear is not a theory, not a coincidence, and certainly not just a quirk of anatomy. Across cultures, spiritual traditions, and ancient prophetic texts, this symbol, this mysterious M, has been seen as far more than a random fold of skin. It has been revered as a sacred marker, a sign that the person who carries it is destined for something extraordinary. This is not the kind of information you typically come across. For centuries, the truth about the M in the palm has been whispered in secret circles, hidden in ancient manuscripts, and kept alive only through oral traditions. But now, it's time to bring it to light. You see, this mark has appeared on the hands of those who are said to be guided by fate, chosen to fulfill a greater purpose on this earth. And perhaps even more unsettling is the fact that Baba Vanga, the legendary seer from the Balkans, whose predictions about world events have consistently turned out to be hauntingly accurate, had a specific warning for those who bear this mark. For years, her message was lost, forgotten, buried beneath layers of disbelief and distraction. But now, it has resurfaced. And if you have this M on your hand, her words were meant for you. This isn't about superstition. It's about awakening. It's said that souls carrying this sign chose a challenging, yet deeply meaningful path before even entering this life. The M in your palm may be more than a physical feature. It may be the imprint of a soul contract, a spiritual agreement you made before birth. You may have gone your entire life ignoring it, brushing it off as nothing important. But there's a reason it's there. And once you see what it truly means, it might just explain everything. Between the lines of time, love, and destiny, some people are born with a natural, unmistakable formation of the letter M, right in the center of their palms. It's not random. It's not common. And it's not meaningless. In many ancient traditions, the human body is seen as a map, a canvas that tells the story of the soul. Birthmarks, freckles, and lines on the hands have all been studied as signs from a deeper place. The M is one of the rarest and most powerful of these symbols. It tends to appear on people with a heightened intuition, those who can sense the emotions of others, even before a word is spoken. These individuals often feel a deep inner knowing, as if they've always been connected to something beyond the visible world. Have you ever felt like you didn't quite belong? Like the things that moved others never quite stirred you the same way? If you have the M, you may have always sensed something different within you, a quiet pull towards something bigger than everyday life. The truth is, those with this mark rarely lead ordinary lives. Even if they try to fit in, the universe finds a way to redirect them. A job doesn't feel right. Relationships feel too shallow. The usual path feels strangely unsatisfying. That's because they were never meant to live conventionally. They were meant to awaken. In this video, we're going to explore 5 unmistakable signs that your soul has already begun to wake you up. These signs aren't random, and when ignored, they tend to repeat, often growing louder and more persistent until you can't turn away anymore. And if you identify with even one of these signs, it may mean that your soul is ready to remember who you really are. People who carry this mark often display the following characteristics. An intense inner world. You've always thought deeply, even as a child. Your imagination was vast, your questions endless, and your feelings, sometimes overwhelming. A sense of destiny. You've always felt like you were meant for more, even if you couldn't name what more was. Something within you knows you have a mission. Unusual sensitivity. You pick up on energies, vibes, emotions, sometimes without wanting to. Crowds can be exhausting, and shallow conversations leave you drained. Recurring dreams or symbols. You may have vivid dreams that feel more like memories, or encounter certain symbols that seem to follow you through life. A deep attraction to the spiritual or mysterious. You've always been drawn to hidden knowledge, ancient teachings, or mystical paths, even if no one else around you shared that interest. If any of this resonates with you, if something inside you is stirring as you hear these words, it may be because your soul is responding. You're not alone. And you're not imagining things. Baba Vanga's warning was not a threat, but a reminder. Those with the mark must awaken before it is too late. Too late for what? That depends. It could mean missing your chance to fulfill your life's mission. Or it could mean continuing to live asleep, disconnected from the truth of who you are. But today, something is different. You've heard this message. You've seen the sign. And now you have a choice. If this message has moved you, if your intuition is speaking louder than ever, don't let the moment pass. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this is only the beginning. And leave a comment below with the words, "I carry the mark, and I'm ready to remember." That phrase may activate more within you than you could ever imagine. The M in your palm is not a mistake. It's a message. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to finally understand it. There is a force within you that has always been there. Quiet, persistent, and impossible to ignore. That force is the memory of your soul. And if you carry the letter M naturally etched into the palm of your hand, it may be more than a simple mark. It could be a physical echo of something much older, much deeper. A reminder that your journey did not begin here in this lifetime. It started long before. If you have this mark, or if you know someone who does, don't look away. Watch closely, listen deeply. Because what you're about to hear may not be new to your mind. It may instead feel like a distant memory, as though you're remembering something you never truly forgot. When the words begin to resonate, when the signs begin to make sense, you'll understand. This is not a coincidence. This is recognition. From an early age, there was something different about you. Not something you could point to in the mirror or explain to others. It was subtle but powerful, a kind of invisible distance between you and the world around you. Even in familiar places, surrounded by friends or family, you often felt a strange sense of separation. Not loneliness exactly, but a quiet disconnection. As if you were behind an invisible wall, watching the world through a thin layer of glass. You laughed, you participated, you tried to fit in. But beneath the surface, you felt out of rhythm. The conversations felt shallow. The expectations felt strange. The world seemed content with distractions, routines, and surface-level living, while you were always searching for something deeper, something more real. And the most unsettling part? You didn't know why. While others moved through life accepting things as they were, you asked questions. You noticed the patterns people followed blindly, the roles they played without thinking, the way they silenced their own hearts just to fit into a system. You saw it all, and it felt wrong. From a young age, maybe you preferred silence over noise, depth over small talk, the unseen over the obvious. That inner pull toward truth and meaning is one of the clearest signs of a soul that remembers, a soul that carries an ancient mission. The M mark, found on your palm, is not random. In spiritual traditions, it's seen as a sign that you are not here to blend in. You were not born to continue what already exists. You were born to awaken something that has been lost, to remember what others have forgotten. And that difference you've always felt? Over time, it might have turned into pain. You may have tried to hide it, to shrink yourself so you could be accepted, to squeeze into spaces that were never made for you. You told yourself to be normal, to be quiet, to go along. But something inside resisted. A restlessness that never truly left you. A whisper that said, "This isn't where you belong." That resistance isn't your flaw, it's your truth. It's your soul speaking. You were never meant to walk the same path as everyone else. The discomfort you've carried is not a curse, it's your inner compass, urging you to remember who you are. Many people who carry the M mark spend years trying to erase their uniqueness. They label their sensitivity as weakness. Their empathy, their intuition, their depth, all of it becomes something to hide. But what if those very qualities are your greatest strength? What if feeling deeply is your gift? What if sensing what others miss is your power? What if being different isn't a mistake, but the very reason you were born? Trying to fit in will only take you further from your essence. Because your soul didn't come here to follow. It came here to lead, to heal, to awaken. And that persistent feeling that you don't belong? That's not a flaw. It's a sacred reminder. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to remember. If you've read this far and felt as though every word was speaking directly to you, then it's time to stop hiding. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to remember. And if you've spent years believing that something was wrong with you, maybe the only real mistake was trying to mold yourself to a world that doesn't yet understand the depth of what you carry. That persistent sense of not belonging? It's not weakness. It's not failure. It's code. It's your soul gently reminding you that you came into this life with a mission only you can fulfill. From the beginning, you probably noticed the difference. You didn't absorb the world like others did, where they moved through spaces casually, leaving barely a trace. You carried every experience like it left an imprint on your spirit. Sometimes it was a breathtaking place with a strange heaviness in the air. Other times, it was a simple interaction, a passing conversation that, for reasons you couldn't explain, left you feeling tense, tired, or even sad. And the strangest part? No one else seemed to notice. You'd look around and everything appeared normal, even joyful. But something inside you felt off. Over time, it happened more often. You'd enter a room and feel the energy before anyone even spoke. You'd meet someone and instantly sense whether their intentions were honest, even if they smiled and said all the right things. It wasn't anything obvious. It was in the silence, the pause, the energy they carried, the things that went unspoken. But when you tried to talk about it, people didn't understand. They dismissed it. Told you were imagining things, being dramatic, paranoid, or too sensitive. And so began the inner conflict. You felt things no one else could feel, and you were judged for it. Eventually, you stopped sharing. You kept your observations to yourself. But that didn't stop the sensations from hitting you. That weight, that discomfort continued to find you, because you weren't imagining it. You were born with open sensitivity, a rare, powerful spiritual trait. Your body acts like a living antenna, tuned to energies, emotions, and unspoken truths. It doesn't matter if someone smiles at you. If their energy is off, you feel it. And not just feel it. You carry it. It sticks to you like invisible dust, clinging without permission. You try to shake it off, but it lingers. Sometimes for hours, sometimes even into the next day. You wake up still feeling the heaviness of someone else's pain, even when it was never yours to begin with. And here's what most people don't understand. It's exhausting. It's a kind of fatigue that sleep doesn't cure. You might eat well, exercise, follow a calm routine, and still feel utterly drained. That's because you're absorbing emotional energy from the world around you, and no one ever taught you how to filter it. You walk into a crowded room and leave feeling like you've been emptied. You spend time with someone carrying sadness or anger, and it clings to you. Sometimes, they don't even have to speak. You feel their story without hearing a word. This isn't your imagination. It's spiritual sensitivity. And if you don't learn how to care for it, protect it, and honor it, you begin to pay the price. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. People with this mark, this soul signature, often spend years thinking there's something wrong with them. They push through heavy environments, force themselves to stay where they don't belong, feel guilty for pulling away, and silence their truth to keep the peace. But eventually, the body starts sending signals. The anxiety grows. The fatigue deepens. Sleep becomes restless. Your immune system weakens. Not because you're broken, but because you've ignored the quiet wisdom of your soul. And when the soul is ignored, it begins to speak through the body. Not to punish you, but to awaken you, to protect you, to remind you, you were never meant to carry the world unguarded. You were meant to carry light. You can't keep carrying what was never yours to hold. You weren't meant to absorb the weight of the world without rest, without boundaries. This deep sensitivity you carry, what some call a flaw or weakness, is nothing of the sort. It's not an accident, and it's certainly not something to be ashamed of. It is an ancient gift, woven into your soul long before this lifetime began. You don't feel everything by chance. Your heart didn't open this wide by mistake. Your soul came here for something far greater than ordinary existence. It came to be a channel of healing, a bridge between the seen and the unseen, a guide in a world that often forgets to feel. But even healers must begin with themselves. Before you can offer light to others, you must learn to honor your own. That starts with one essential truth. Respect your sensitivity. Stop forcing yourself to stay in places that drain your spirit. Stop saying yes to people who continually hurt you. Stop pretending you're unaffected, when deep down, your whole being is screaming otherwise. The problem isn't that you feel too much. The real issue is the ongoing act of pretending that you are just like everyone else. If something in these words strikes a chord, if you've been quietly thinking, "This is me," then maybe it's time to fully accept that you are different. And there is nothing wrong with that. A marked soul isn't meant to live lightly, to float through life untouched. It came here to awaken, to transform, to bring back forgotten truths. But every great transformation starts from within. And if you've spent years pushing away what you feel, convincing yourself that you're too much, now is the time to begin listening, deeply. Because those who feel deeply also carry an immense capacity for light. Some mornings you wake feeling perfectly fine, only to be overtaken by a wave of sadness with no clear origin. It clutches your chest as though it's carrying centuries of emotion. Other days, a song, a small gesture, or a passing memory brings you joy so vivid it moves you to tears. What seems like nothing to others feels like everything to you. You don't just feel emotions. You inhabit them. You don't skim the surface. You plunge into the depths. And that intensity, it's a signal that your soul is alive and listening. While the world numbs itself with distraction, you remain wide open, exposed, raw, and radiant. Yes, it can be exhausting. While others have learned to hide, suppress, or filter their emotions, you carry yours like a second skin. You might try to play along to stay composed, but your eyes betray you. Your silence speaks. Your energy tells stories you've never voiced. The world often misunderstands this gift. It labels you too emotional, overly dramatic, weak. But what it calls excess is actually depth. What it dismisses as fragility is, in truth, rare spiritual perception. You are not broken. You are tuned in to a frequency that many have forgotten how to hear. And because of this, many like you learn to close off. To survive, you begin to suppress, to stay quiet, to pretend. But the heart is not a vault, and the soul is not a container. What can't be expressed gets trapped, and eventually, it spills over. Into the body, into anxiety, into restlessness, into isolation you can't explain. Your sensitivity isn't your burden. It's your power. Your heart is a sacred bridge between worlds. You translate emotions others don't understand. You feel what's hidden, what's repressed, what's been passed down through generations. You aren't just reacting, you're remembering. And when you begin to honor that, truly honor it, your gift becomes a force that can heal. Simply by being present, by feeling with someone, you open space for transformation. No, you don't feel too much. You feel exactly what is necessary, and exactly what is real. This emotional intensity you carry, it doesn't just make you feel more. It connects you on a level that defies logic. Have you ever been moved to tears by a story that wasn't your own? Felt pain over someone else's suffering as if it were yours? Loved someone so deeply, so instantly, that it felt like your souls had met before? Maybe in another lifetime? That's not coincidence. It's the way a marked soul communicates. Through feeling. Through recognition before memory. Your heart understands truths your mind hasn't yet recalled. And when you encounter something, or someone, familiar, it resonates so deeply that denying it would be impossible. This isn't just a trait. It's part of your gift. And perhaps, part of your mission. If these words feel like they were written for you, then maybe it's time to stop dimming your light just to be accepted in places that only understand the surface. You weren't born to fit inside narrow spaces. Your soul came here whole, and it refuses to live in fragments. As long as you keep denying your own depth, you'll live a life that only touches the edges of what you're capable of. But the moment you embrace your emotional intensity, everything shifts. Because those who feel deeply also see deeply. And your sensitivity is not a flaw, it's a map. One that's meant to guide you back to who you truly are. You've probably noticed it before, though maybe you didn't understand it. You're sitting somewhere quiet, maybe on a bus or in a waiting room, lost in your own thoughts, and suddenly, a stranger starts to speak. They share stories, open old wounds, talk about things they've never even told close friends. And you listen, gently, openly, without even knowing why they trust you so much. And it's not just once. It's happened more times than you can count. Friends, co-workers, even people you've just met seem to turn to you when they're struggling. They come to you for comfort, for perspective, for peace. And you listen, even when you're exhausted, even when you feel like you have no answers, because somehow, you know how to hold space for others. To be present without judgment. To offer warmth without words. That pattern isn't random. It's a sign. A reflection of the energy your soul radiates. You may not see it, but others feel it. You give off a sense of safety, of calm, of truth. And it has little to do with what you say. It's the frequency of your being. Those who are spiritually marked often carry this invisible light. It touches others effortlessly. Just by being, you heal. But this gift also carries a weight. Because while you listen to everyone else, who listens to you? While you hold others through their storms, who holds your pain? You absorb their emotions, carry their burdens, and then quietly return to your own world, with all that energy still lingering inside you. Over time, that unspoken heaviness builds. You become the strong one, the wise one, the one others turn to. But inside, you're quietly breaking. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. And even guides need guiding. Even healers need healing. At some point, you may have felt used, like people only come to you when they need something. Like your shoulder is always available, but your heart often goes unnoticed. But here's the truth. Most aren't using you. They're recognizing you. Even if they don't understand why, they sense something rare in you. A light. A presence. A vibration that soothes. You don't need to lead with force or words. You lead with your energy, with your gaze, with the silence that makes others feel seen. And that's why they're drawn to you, even the broken, the lost, the wounded. They come looking for a reflection of truth. And that reflection is you. But to keep reflecting, you must also turn inward. To care for yourself the way you care for others. To refill your own cup. Because your mission isn't just to carry the world, it's also to know yourself, love yourself, and guide yourself back home. If everything you've read sounds like a mirror to your life, then it's time to stop asking, why me? And begin saying, this is me. That unshakable feeling inside, that something is missing, even when life looks good on the outside, isn't your imagination. It's your soul whispering, you're not here just to survive. You came for something greater. And now, it's time to remember. Those who carry this inner mark often feel, deep down, that they're here for a reason. There's an unshakable sense that their life holds a greater purpose. Yet, the world around them doesn't always align with that feeling. You try to express it, to put it into words, but others dismiss you. They call you a dreamer. They say you're unrealistic, unfocused, or just confused. But what they don't understand is this. It's not about wanting more in the material sense. It's about sensing that what surrounds you, even if good, is still not enough. Because you don't just want to get through life. You want to fulfill something. Something that feels destined. Something only you can bring into the world. And that's where it gets hard. The calling is real, but the path remains hidden. You can feel the pull of something greater, but you don't yet know what it is, or where to find it. There's no roadmap. No instructions. So on the outside, life continues. You work, you talk, you show up. But inside, it's like you're waiting. For a sign. For clarity. For that moment that confirms that all you feel is true. And when that moment doesn't come, exhaustion sets in. The body starts to feel heavy. The soul begins to ache. The heart seems to lose its rhythm. You move through the days, but your spirit lingers somewhere in between hope and uncertainty. What most people don't realize is that this waiting, this ache, is part of the process. The soul doesn't reveal everything all at once. It prepares you slowly, in the silence. It shapes itself in the spaces of not knowing. It strengthens itself through your doubts. And ironically, it's in those very moments when everything feels meaningless that the soul is working the hardest. So if you feel this deep, persistent restlessness, this quiet whisper that there's something more, that's your sign. Even if you can't define it yet. Even if you're not sure where it's leading. The very fact that you feel it means something within you is beginning to awaken. And that alone makes you different. Many people live their entire lives without ever questioning. They follow the script. They go through the motions. But you can't ignore this voice. This invisible pull that refuses to let you settle. Even without a clear plan, even without all the answers, the fact that you know there's more already places you closer to your truth than you think. Because purpose doesn't come from the outside. It begins inside. It begins the moment you stop running from what you feel, and start accepting that something greater is calling you inward. If you've read all of this and felt seen, felt like these words speak your inner truth, then stop silencing your calling. Stop shrinking to fit into lives that don't make space for your soul. You are not lost. You are in transition. And those who feel they were born for something greater, they're already on the path. They're already remembering. Have you ever felt like you're reliving the same story over and over? Different people, different settings, different phases of life. But somehow, the same outcome. Relationships that always seem to end the same way. Jobs that leave you with the same dissatisfaction. Choices that, no matter how different, land you right back at the start. That's not random. What you see as repetition, the universe sees as a lesson. The soul is here to learn. And if something keeps returning in your life, it's not to punish you. It's because the root of that experience still hasn't been fully understood. It may come disguised, wrapped in a new color or new face. But underneath, it carries the same message. You might try to escape it. Move away. Start over. But distance doesn't dissolve a cycle. Understanding does. These patterns, yes, they're frustrating. Yes, they come with pain. But they're also invitations. Invitations to pause, to see, to heal. And the moment you stop asking, why is this happening again? And start asking, what am I still meant to learn? That's when everything begins to shift. Because healing isn't just about moving forward. It's about understanding what's been repeating. So you can finally be free. Sometimes you catch yourself wondering, how did I end up here again? In the same pattern, the same situation, the same emotional place. And then comes the judgment. You feel disappointed in yourself. Weak. Like you've failed. But what if that repetition isn't failure at all? What if it's actually a message from your soul? Whispering, urging, teaching. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. Every time a cycle repeats, it brings a new opportunity. A chance to choose differently. To respond with greater awareness. More compassion, more clarity. Spiritually marked people, those who carry deep emotional and energetic imprints, often experience this. It feels like you're going in circles. But you're not. You're moving in a spiral. And spirals don't loop, they rise. Each round through the same emotion, relationship, or challenge brings with it new insight, more maturity, and a little more strength. And one day, often when you least expect it, the cycle breaks. You shift. And life begins to flow in a way it never has before. But that shift doesn't come from blaming the world. It comes from turning inward. The real transformation begins when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And instead ask, what is this trying to teach me? That simple change in perspective unlocks doors. It opens paths to understanding that were always there, just waiting for you to see them. Because everything that repeats in your life is not just coincidence. It's a soul-level request for healing, for evolution, for growth. So if you see yourself in these repeating patterns, know this: it's not bad luck. It's not punishment. And it's not a sign of weakness. It's a coded message. A sacred invitation from your soul to step out of autopilot and into presence. Because when the lesson is finally understood, the pattern dissolves. The chapter ends. And the new one begins. If you felt every word of this as if it were written just for you, if it cut through you with an unexplainable truth, pause, breathe, feel. You didn't arrive here by accident. This message found you for a reason. Maybe you were looking for something else. Maybe you just stumbled upon this moment. But if you're still reading, it's because your soul recognized something important in this. And if, on top of everything, you have the letter M etched in the palm of your hand, then it's time to really listen, because you are not ordinary. That letter isn't just a coincidence. It's an ancient spiritual signature. A physical echo of something much older, much deeper. It appears on the hands of those who came here for more. To feel more. To awaken more. To transform more. Before you were even born, your soul accepted a journey of heightened awareness, sensitivity, and purpose. You didn't choose a light path. You chose a meaningful one. And in order to walk that path, you were given both visible and invisible marks. Symbols and experiences meant to awaken you at the right time. That time is now. The process of remembering doesn't come with a clear manual. It often begins with inner unrest, with deep emotions, with patterns that repeat until you finally stop and listen. You may have always felt different, too sensitive, too emotional, like you never quite fit in. You may have tried to silence that part of you, to blend in, to forget. But the more you tried to stray from your truth, the more life nudged you back. Because those with this soul mark can't live disconnected for long. And once the awakening begins, once the time comes, nothing feels the same again. You may have sought stability, approval, comfort, but you were never meant to live a quiet, shallow life. Your soul only rests when it begins to remember. And that is what's happening now. These signs didn't arrive by chance. They've been waiting, quietly, until your awareness was ready to receive them. And you are ready. Maybe still uncertain. Maybe still afraid. But ready. Because those who carry this mark don't need proof. They just need courage. The M mark isn't luck. It's not a coincidence. And it's not simply a gift. It's a choice, a soul-level choice. And with that choice comes responsibility. Your soul chose this path for a reason. You weren't placed here by accident. And the more you resist it, ignore it, hide from it, the louder it will call. Until you stop running and finally accept. Accept your sensitivity. Accept your depth, your mission, your intensity. Accept that you didn't come here just to exist. You came here to remember. And when that remembering begins, everything starts to shift. Things that no longer align fall away. People, patterns, and habits that don't match your vibration begin to fade. Because once the soul awakens, it cannot return to sleep. It won't let you settle for less than truth. If you've made it this far, the activation has already started. You've already been called. And now you're standing at a crossroads, with two options. You can return to sleep, or keep feeling, keep awakening. Either way, the memory has been awakened. And it will keep pulling at you, whispering, guiding, because once you're marked, you're never the same. The world doesn't need a dulled-down version of you. It needs the real you, the one still hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, and conditioning. If you stayed until now, it's because something deep inside you recognized this message. Maybe your mind doesn't fully understand yet. Maybe you're still trying to process it all. But your soul knows. This wasn't new information. It was a reminder. A sacred nudge to what you've always known, but perhaps forgot along the way. And now, in this quiet moment, something within you is waking up. Everything you've lived, every ache, every cycle, every lonely moment, was preparing you for this. Your sensitivity, your outsider feelings, the questions no one else seemed to ask. None of it was random. Every part of your journey was shaping you for this very moment. And even if you don't know what the next step is, your awareness is enough to begin. Because the soul doesn't need a plan. It needs presence. Maybe you're still walking this path alone. Maybe the people around you don't understand. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to see what you see. Not everyone is meant to feel what you feel. But don't let that make you shrink. Let it remind you, you were never meant for the ordinary. You were always meant for more. If this message stirred something in you, if it echoed a truth you've long felt but never put into words, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Not for numbers, but for connection. So you can continue receiving content that doesn't just inform, it activates. Words that speak not to who you pretend to be, but to who you truly are. And if you know someone else who carries this mark, someone who lives in quiet recognition of these same truths, share this video. Sometimes, a single message at the right time can awaken an entire soul. And now, take a deep breath, and comment below. I remember who I am, and I accept what I carry. This isn't just a comment. It's a declaration, a seal, a permission slip to your soul to rise, to guide, to lead. Because your time is no longer coming. It's already here.